It's qualifying day at the Monaco Grand Prix, a classic venue first used in 1929 and a circuit that all in motorsport aspire to reach because the walls are close and the challenge is relentless. But for one driver on the grid, the electric feeling of a perfect lap will be enhanced because pole in Monaco just means more. Welcome everyone to a very special session of Formula One qualifying around the two famous miles of Monaco. Juan Manuel Fangio is our first winner in 1950. Ayrton Senna has the most wins around the Principality. You know you are in the company of legends if you win in the Principality of Monaco. It's the C5, the C4 and the C3 tyre, the softest in the Pirelli range, because there is not a worry when it comes to DEG. There is a worry about threading the needle around this challenge that has attracted so many to the cusp of the Mediterranean Sea for so many years, nearly a century. We look at the harbour, it is a bustling harbour, and it's a glorious day for it once more. 23 degrees or 73 degrees, 46 degrees track temperature is way up from what we had earlier on, 114 degrees Fahrenheit, and the quiet moments have arrived. The yachts in the harbourside packed out, the grandstands are full, the view from any balcony that looks onto the circuit is a prized one at this most special of weekends. I'm Alex Shakes, alongside me in the commentary box, two drivers that adore this day of the sporting calendar. DC, great to have your company once again. You've taken pole around Monaco. How special is it?
It is the highest of highs, and I was never noted for my outright qualifying speed, but that's where Monaco is a little bit different. It's about knowing the width of your car to the millimetre. It's about knowing the percentages on the corners where you can push and where there's absolutely no room for error. And I've been enjoying your comms, gents, as you've been taking us through the practice sessions, and you've been describing great, Julian, just where those moments are where the drivers can take a risk and where they save it all for that final lap in qualifying.
It's so difficult though, isn't it? When your heart rate is going through the roof. The intensity of these moments coming up now is so high. If you're a Ferrari driver, you're a McLaren driver, you're a Mercedes or a Red Bull, you can probably build into it slightly more gently because you've got margin in hand and you'll wait for Q3. If you're anyone towards the back, your main part of qualifying will come at you so early on here, and then it's all about taking the risk. With risk comes red flags, comes yellow flags and stoppages as well, so it's important to get bankers on. That's why we've got a queue at the end of the pit lane already, and some of it is just hold your breath and just hope it sticks, and if it does, you're going to be doing pretty well. Yeah,
you've got to have an element of confidence, haven't you, and run what you've brung. There is nothing they can do now. They've just got to get out there, try and own the racetrack, and with an extra couple of cars in this first part of qualifying, it's going to be a wee bit busier.
It is indeed going to be, on the evidence of practice, very difficult to get your own part of the racetrack to extract the best performance. Remember, the track will improve as we go on. The tyres are good for multiple push laps, so you're not in serious trouble if something goes wrong immediately, but there's not much by way of margin. Earlier on in practice, we saw plenty of drivers tripping over each other, so important for team and driver to work together. It is so easy to get a three-place penalty for impeding. We've seen that so many years in Monaco.
I don't think Formula One gets any more intense than this as a driver. You're driving on just a mind-bogglingly small track. It's twisty, it's so narrow, it's bumpy, and there are walls everywhere. So in reality, you can crash on any single corner. And you know in this hour, you can make or break your weekend. And it's the one that they all want to win the most. Maybe a home race, certainly this one for everyone. I mean, it is the magic of Saturday in Monaco.
Yeah, look, the greatest of the greats have had amazing success around the streets of Monte Carlo. There's no sort of coincidence there. They're the ones that just more often than not roll the dice and come in lucky. But yeah, Antonelli in great form, as we saw in free practice 3. Mighty on the brakes down into the chicane. And Julian, as you know, many a driver, hand up here in the commentary box, have lost it over the crest as you break down into the chicane. Because amazingly, even with all that downforce, the momentum and the speed wants to get the rear a bit loose, and it all becomes a bit tricky. But he was, I think, a couple of tenths quicker than anyone on that braking zone.
It was momentous, his attack on the brakes. Fernando Alonso dropped it into the barriers on Friday there and managed to get away with only minor damage, but it is the sort of place you can wreck the car totally if you commit too hard on the brakes. It's the biggest stamp on the brakes around the circuit. It's the longest full throttle section coming into it. And like you said, Kimi's attack was so high, but it just smacked of confidence, didn't it? The way that he went out there, new tyres, soft tyres in practice, drilled it, put it all together on one lap.
Yeah, the benefit of youth is you don't know what you don't know, and he doesn't know what it is not to be a winner for the last 4 Grand Prix.
No one has ever won their first Grand Prix and followed it up with 3 more in a row. 4 Grand Prix victories to open his account in Formula One. Kimi Antonelli is our championship leader by 43 points and in sensational form at the moment that is upending the expected script of this championship in this season. You will have seen the Haas of Oliver Behrman on the racetrack at the quick Massenet corner that we are currently looking at. His Haas got offline slightly, hit the bump, hit the barrier, and his mechanics have had a very, very busy couple of hours. They've got the job done, and the Haas is in the Q1 session. Everyone looking for an early banker lap to ease the pressure. Kim Kardashian supporting from the Ferrari gantry, looking on there. And Lewis Hamilton has had an exemplary time of it so far. This is his best chance for a Formula One pole position since Silverstone last year. The problem they've got, both of the Ferrari drivers, Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, is Kimi Antonelli and how quickly he went through these corners of the racetrack.
Yeah, I think that the Ferraris, and we certainly heard from Charles Leclerc, he's been lacking a little bit of confidence on that braking system.
Charles backing into me.
Understood. Yeah, he's had to let another car go as well, so Colapinto has now gone between him and Charles Leclerc, so that radio transmission goes away because that Alpine has taken the position. Surprised Lewis is actually following Colapinto quite so closely through Rascas. He's going to have to back off before going through the final corner, unless this is an extra prep lap.
I think it's that. We've seen that a few times already in practice. These tyres take a little while to come in the shade down there at Santevot. It's a tricky braking zone. It's so easy to lock your inside front, and it's difficult to get the soft tyres even fired up. They're one step harder than they were last year as well, these tyres. So it's an out and then it's a prep at this stage, and that's why Hamilton will trail Colapinto and hope that he doesn't fall into the clutches of too many drivers further back and find himself clear space for the next lap.
As far as you can see, everyone is, other than Piastri, is out on track. So that's actually a good thing if you're going through these prep laps, because you get an opportunity for everyone to find their space on the track. Where it becomes tricky is if you're on, like say, starting a hot lap and someone comes out of the pit lane, which will happen later in the session, you can run into the dreaded traffic. But if these guys can't sort themselves out to get at least a clean banker lap, knowing where all the other traffic is circulating, then, well, they need to go back to school.
Pierre Gasly is best of the rest at the moment. He finds himself 8th in the World Championship going into this Grand Prix. He has had a superb season in comparison to last year when he was part of the 10th place finishing Alpine squad. They've been on the podium in recent years around this venue with Esteban Ocon, who left for the Haas team. Gasly looking for another point-scoring finish. He has scored in all of the rounds so far this year, 4 Grand Prix and 1 sprint race. And he is looking for a time that takes him through into the next stage of qualifying. We will lose the 6 slowest cars.
First replay of the session, Gasly coming through Casino, bit of oversteer.
Yeah, he really caught the apex tight and nice at the bottom of the steps outside Hotel de Paris, but I think in doing so, he then turned in a little bit too early for the second part and then had to open the steering again. Now, you identified it as oversteer. It's a little bit of an unusual place to happen, isn't it? Because that's a corner that flows.
Man, that's the worst prep ever. Come on. What are you doing?
Calma. Let's just keep it together. Yeah, look, he's in the moment, isn't he?
Imagine what happens when he gets through to Q3. Things get really stressful for a Red Bull driver. Just needs to get a banker in with the pace that Red Bull have got so far this weekend.
Hadjar with a spin in first practice, that quite a big rebuild for him, and they were able to get him into the second hour of practice on Friday. Charles Leclerc goes fastest of anyone so far with a 1:14.1. Earlier on, it was a 1:12.7, our fastest time set by Kimi Antonelli, only driver who's been into the 1 minute 12 so far this weekend. So the track's got a long way to go, is the point I'm making. Leclerc, Norris, Hamilton, and now Ocon in fourth.
It's amazing how it always just feels awful at this stage. The last thing you've done is drive FP3, soft tyres at the end of it, dialed in, you're thinking this is what qualifying will be. Go and have some lunch, get your head in the right space to attack, and suddenly like, where's the grip in these early laps? It will ramp up incredibly quickly, but somehow just 2 hours of no Formula One, you just feel like the track's got filthy again.
Yeah, temperature changes, all these sort of things have a factor. As Verstappen, not ideal in terms of having to get out of the way of Bortoleto in the Audi. And I think the Audis actually think they've got a real chance of getting both cars through to Q3.
Yeah, that would be, on the basis of the weekend so far, representative for Audi, who are struggling for ultimate power in their first year of Formula One. They're a chassis manufacturer and a power unit manufacturer, but this is the lowest speed circuit of the year, and Audi have got a tidy little car. They've placed 2 cars in the top 10 throughout. Isaac Hadjar pushing on, and he's being compared to Alonso at the moment because he has not got his time on the boards. 10 minutes to go.
We'll do so in just a couple of corners' time. Short burst on the throttle into Anthony Nogues, and it looks pretty dynamic through the fast stuff there from Hadjar. A little bit of traffic from Gasly, but it wouldn't have cost him much. And he jumps up provisionally to the top 10. I'm sure someone's going to hit one of these walls at the Nouvelle Chicane. I've done so much wincing this weekend just when we ride on board, cutting into the entry on the left, and then the way that they straighten up and get on the exit. They are really getting close.
Traffic ahead for Verstappen. It's one of the RBs is going to get out of the way. Yep, can't think that would have cost him actual lap time, but certainly it's always a bit distracting, isn't it, when you're on a full send lap and cars are in front of you.
That was Lawson in the way. He managed to clear the path for Max Verstappen, a former winner on these streets. Let's look at how he approached through to back corner into the swimming pool.
You just can't commit the entry to this, I think, as you quite would have liked. So it's not too bad, to be honest, from Lawson. It is a really busy circuit.
Yeah, that was on build-up there. Then he pulled away and pulled over before the final corner to start his lap.
Lando Norris goes top, not for too long. 1:13.7 for Norris, a 1:13.3 for home favourite Charles Leclerc, who always seems, regardless of the season that Ferrari are having, to be ultra competitive on these streets. Today, he hunts for a 4th career pole position at his home race. Oscar Piastri, part of McLaren's celebrations for 1,000 Grand Prix, and it is 2nd and 3rd for them at the moment. In the drop zone, Franco Colapinto, Fernando Alonso, Sergio Perez, and it is Lance Stroll, Alex Albon down there in 21st place. He's been complaining of tyre temperature, or the lack of it, and Valtteri Bottas, who finds himself in 22nd position. Both Cadillacs earlier on having brake fires. Perez had that yesterday as well. Here's Alex Albon across the line, Williams driver who was 9th in the Grand Prix here 1 year ago, and he manages to get himself up to 15th place.
Yeah, and then pulls over immediately, knowing that a Ferrari is coming and doesn't want to get in the way. And just coming back, and when you're mentioning Cadillac there, before the season started, I had Bottas kind of billed as the one that was race ready. He'd been part of Mercedes, and it might be difficult for Checo Perez to get back up to speed. It's actually not proven to be the case. Perez has been on it and looking like he's taking more out of that car than Bottas.
They're such experienced drivers, and through the narrative of their careers, I would have said Bottas faster over 1 lap, Perez maybe faster over a race distance. We saw them as competitors together at Mercedes and Red Bull, and you would have said that was the case. But right now, Perez on 1 lap is consistently doing a job. He's obviously feeling more at home in the Cadillac car.
Yeah, Antonelli squirreling on the acceleration as he came out at the back. And that would suggest that he got a little bit wider than would normally be the case.
Hamilton has the fastest middle sector of the session so far. You're watching that left-hand side of your picture. Full frame. The championship leader, Kimi Antonelli, comes across the line. Half a second adrift of Charles Leclerc. Here is Lewis Hamilton with a special crash helmet design for this weekend. He goes over the line and he goes into 3rd.
7 minutes left on the clock. Russell is in the drop zone. He's about to take himself out of that with this lap here. Through Anthony Nogues, turns it in, finds some nice traction, a little bit more grip coming. And where's he going to go? Up, but only to 10th. Mercedes showed so much pace earlier on. Right now, it's early days of Q1, but it looks like they are not there, and Russell, who's been struggling a little bit more through the weekend, is only just in the top 10.
Kimi Antonelli to back corner and tapping.
He was wide on entry and nearly went to the barrier.
You can't make up for it, can you? That's Russell. So was it that lap, or has he managed to hold something around the rest of it, or was that an earlier lap and that's why he was down in the drop zone provisionally? As soon as you turn in late for Tabak, you're never making the apex, and you're really praying you don't hit the wall. There's not a lot of margin there.
Actually, the fact that he didn't go to the wall with that amount of margin to the apex is remarkable reactions.
Lando Norris with a very tidy first sector. Driver who was on pole here last year, won the Grand Prix for the first time in his Formula One career with the driver he's currently trying to beat. Charles Leclerc was the driver in second position. Franco Colapinto's in the drop zone along with Pierre Gasly, and then it's the two Astons and the two Cadillacs. Not much margin as we make our way to the corner that caused trouble for Antonelli. He's through to back. Next up, the high-speed chicane that takes you into swimming pool on the way in, on the way out.
McLaren have found some pace. Norris is having to work hard at the wheel, so the oversteer on the first part of the Nouvelle chicane, or the right-hand part of it, as soon as you get that, you start washing wide, and you're still desperate for traction, but that wall starts greeting you on the exit as well, just sticks out that little bit. And it was well managed, but a little sketchy there for Norris. Same again at the swimming pool chicane, where he keeps having big moments off the curb and then fighting it to the wall.
Charles Leclerc going very well. Let's see. The home favourite across the line. Then we'll give you an update about the drop zone. He improves his time by 1/10 of a second. Pierre Gasly put a personal best in. It did not improve his time. Franco Colapinto up to 14th. Gasly remains in the drop zone with 5 minutes to go.
Interestingly, all the Ferrari, the Mercedes, Verstappen, they're all set on that first sector at 19.2. So even Stevens there. So it looks like that middle sector is being a bit of a differentiator right now.
So Antonelli, superb through the first part of the lap. No improvement, sector 2. How about sector 3 in the overall time? Up to second position, 3/10 of a second away. Verstappen moves up to second place. And it's a different picture than we saw in the final hour of practice. Things have changed. On board with George Russell, currently in 10th position. The driver 43 points back in the World Championship after retiring from the lead in Canada.
That was getting loose as he turned it into the swimming pool chicane there. It doesn't look like he's driving with confidence at all, George. 8/10 down through 2 sectors. Earlier on, Antonelli was lighting up the timing screens, and Russell was out there on track at the same time, but just not feeling grip through the wheel, through his body, finding the tyres biting, and once again he crosses the line. He is a mile adrift at the moment.
Yeah, this is where you want to be in the confidence-building phase of qualifying. All of those big names should easily, of course, make it through the first part of qualifying, but you're just, you know, you're building, aren't you? You're getting a feel for it, and to be 7/10 away from Antonelli, I'm hoping there was one issue somewhere on the lap that he can go, yeah, I've got that covered. But if that was genuinely what the grip and the balance was talking to him with, then he's going to be in the garage scratching his head.
That's going to be a problem for Esteban Ocon coming through to back. Cars letting each other through. Then there was a much faster one coming up behind. We cut away from it, but Ocon's 15th and needs a lap.
He's got margin, but not a huge amount. The driver 4-1 down in the teammate head-to-head compared to Ollie Behrman. Ollie Behrman in 13th place. Hamilton really attacking. If you consider this is only the first part of qualifying, we will reset the times afterwards when we lose the 6 slowest drivers. Alonso got to the brink of escaping, but wasn't able to do so. Gasly improves to 9th. He really needed that. Hamilton pushing for all he is worth, but he remains in 5th place. Hülkenberg gets back up into the top 10, where he has been throughout this weekend.
Hamilton left quite a bit of margin on the exit of the final corner and then almost mated with the pit wall in a way that I've not seen the need to go that close.
Just trying to straight line it as much as possible on the initial part. Verstappen actually hit that part in qualifying en route to pole a few years ago. It was the first time I'd seen someone do it. Just straight line, stay off the curb and get the initial acceleration part done.
Yellow flag is out, and we will try and bring you the reason why. Gabriel Bortoleto at the Nouvelle chicane. He has brought out the yellow flag.
I broke the front suspension.
out comes the red flag, taps the apex barrier, just like we saw with Kimi Antonelli 1 year ago. And that is huge disappointment, because that was a possible top 10 today for Audi. And instead, for Bortoleto, his session goes no further than the first part of qualifying. He's currently making it through, but he will play no further part. On board, Nouvelle Chicane.
Does he tap the left?
Knew it was coming at some point. They've been getting closer and closer and closer, and he's done it there. It's not a huge strike at all, but it's enough that he's just done track rod on the front left. And I'll tell you what, Mattia Binotto did not look chuffed. That is a huge opportunity wasted for Bortoleto.
Well, they've only got 1 point scoring finish throughout this season. Great chance with both cars today. And Bortoleto, who scored that 9th place in the opening Grand Prix of the year, has tapped the barrier. They're all brushing the barriers for the best time in qualifying, but the red flag is out and the clock is paused with 2 minutes and 11 seconds to go. The drop zone is Perez, Behrman, Sainz, Bottas, Alonso and Stroll.
So, a couple of things. First of all, Hülkenberg is 6th in another Audi. That's the pace that they had. He's quicker than Piastri right now. I mean, you mentioned it already. Their car, their chassis is good. Their power unit is obviously struggling a little bit. They're starting a brand new project. They're behind on it. But this is a brilliant opportunity for them. And Bortoleto, with that one, just gets greedier and greedier. You always do. You feel like you can't hit it. You're like getting closer and closer. And you're like, how am I still getting away with it? And then you pushed it one step too far. And just the tiniest of kisses, but at the wrong angle there for Bortoleto. But with 2 minutes 11 left on the clock, this is now trouble for Behrman and Sainz. I would expect the Cadillacs and the Aston Martins to still be out now. Ocon had that little bit of traffic through to back, still managed to do enough to get up to 12th, which shuffled down to 16th. Behrman and Sainz will have the pace with a clear lap to get out there and do it, but can they fire up the tyres? Can they get to the front of the queue? There will be green flag time for one flying lap, but those guys are going to have to deliver and take huge risk.
Slow-mo shots of the second part of the swimming pool section.
Yeah, and that's why, as a driver, you walk the circuit and see where the metal posts are bolted. And that's a corner, as we know, where the barrier can move. There's at to back corner, there is a metal barrier post right behind the apex. It does not flex. And it looks very much just where Bortoleto clipped the end of the Armco. It's obviously pretty taut there because there wasn't much flex, and just that impact was enough to shatter the track rod.
But if you compare Bortoleto and Perez there, and Perez isn't the only one just brushing that barrier on the way into 16, the difference between being a hero and being a zero in Monaco, it's minuscule, isn't it? You want to basically brush the barrier, but Bortoleto's wasn't a whack, it was just a little bit of a hit, and it's too much.
Let's bring in our Grand Prix winning strategist, Ruth Buscombe, for an update of where the teams find themselves with 2 minutes and 11 seconds on the clock.
About the worst time for the clock to stop. At 2 minutes and 1 second, that is the absolute cutoff for getting an outlap in. If you're first in the queue, I see the Cadillacs have made it to the front. They're pretty much guaranteed to get another bite at the apple. Now, if you're 3, 4, 5 cars back in the queue, that is tight to get their lap in. Now, will it make a difference? With the way the track is evolving, 800ths per second, it could just be the difference to sneaking out of Q1 for the cars that are right on the bubble of the Q1 cutoff.
Everyone beginning to queue as soon as they get the resumption time. Coming your way in 2 minutes after Gabriel Bortoleto tagged the barrier on the way into the Nouvelle Chicane. Couldn't make his way out after damaging the suspension, and he finds himself with a concluded qualifying hour. Big laps ahead for Oliver Behrman and Carlos Sainz. Behrman was around the edges of the top 10, but the timing of that red flag has endangered his chances of points this weekend.
I wonder if Williams might pay the price of doing so well last year, because they are way closer to the front end of the pit lane. Finished 5th last season, had a great year, but that means all of those others, Alpine for example had a horrible year, they get a good shot to try and come out first, and Cadillac are first because they're new entrants.
It's a long walk back to the pits. Gabriel Bortoleto in his 2nd season of Formula One. He's making his way back. Let's have a look at the crash with Alex Brundle.
It's going to be an even longer walk, Jakesy, knowing that your teammate is up in the top 6. Let's have a look at it then for Gabriel Bortoleto. He's going to make his way down through the tunnel. And as you mentioned, JP, it's just a really nasty angle on this clip of the barrier on the left-hand side, so finite. That barrier defending media and vehicles on the left-hand side there, so it's a relatively firm one. Drivers always know here which of these barriers can flex and which cannot flex. It's the tiniest movement, but as we've seen before, when you just take the barrier with the surface of the tyre, it engages it in such a way where it bends those track rods. A shame for Bortoleto in what looks like the fourth fastest car this weekend at Audi.
Thank you, Alex. Disappointment for Audi and Gabriel Bortoleto. And panic stations for those in the drop zone. Perez so close to getting ahead of Ocon's time. Remember, we've seen in the Grand Prix format, neither Cadillac nor Aston Martin escaped this first part of qualifying so far this season.
So Perez will have a shot. He is there at the front of the queue. Now, how far back is Sainz and where is Behrman? So Behrman's about 4 back, ahead of his teammate. So that's Sainz second. No, that's the second Cadillac.
He's going to be in the middle, just the garage position. He's going to be in the middle. They finished fifth last year.
He's in trouble.
The other thing is, of course, Perez, he can play this lap as he wants, just look at the traffic in his mirrors, and actually control it to the point where only he gets to go across the line.
Be a really clever play, wouldn't it? But at the same time, you've got to fire your tyres up, so you can't just look in your mirrors and drive a wide car. You're going to have so many behind, desperate to make your way through, including his teammate, Valtteri Bottas, who's the car directly behind. But yeah, Perez can take this as steady as he likes, because he will get out there. So 2 issues. Number 1, fire the tyres up. Make sure you can attack the brakes for Saint-Devant and you're not going to plunge into the barriers with a lock-up. Number 2, traffic. Because so many others are now trundling out of the pits. Plenty of them won't get laps here, but they'll still be circulating. They'll be desperate to get out of the way because grid penalties will be in play if they trip anyone over. But that's still difficult for a driver that's needing to put everything together to try and make it through.
Liam Lawson, they're not going anywhere fast at the moment. The warning lights on, the wing mirrors, Lewis Hamilton out of the car. No one in the top 6 has ventured onto the racetrack, and Hamilton is out of the car for a quick chat. He's been talking about how happy he is with his changed engineering team. Carlo Santi, his new engineer for 2026, and he does seem to be revitalised 2 times on a Grand Prix podium so far this year in the opening 5 races. What can those in the drop zone do? Tyre temperature has been so tricky. So many complaints about that on the radio all the way through. Can they fire it up with the time remaining?
So Behrman will be fine. Sainz comes underneath our commentary box into Raskas with 24 seconds to go. And I think he will also just about be fine to start a flying lap. So it's all on the driver then to make the difference. And for those 2 particularly to claw their way through into Q2, then it's pressure on Lindblad and Ocon to improve.
Perez hasn't managed to open the lap as well as he had done previously. Bottas, his teammate, has got a personal best sector there, so a couple of tenths advantage over where Perez is now as the checkered flag. It's a little bit less checkered than normal, isn't it, with the branding on there?
That's why we have you in the box, DC, for the details. We're looking at Valtteri Bottas, 10-time Grand Prix winner, back in Formula 1 with Cadillac, who went for an ultra-experienced lineup. He's 0.4 of a second away from Esteban Ocon, who is the driver at risk. Personal bests, hard to come by at the moment, even with 20 Formula 1 pole positions to your name. If the tyre temperature isn't there, there's nothing you can do, and Bottas cannot improve.
Behrman's having a good go at it. No personal best, but he's neck and neck with Ocon. We pick him up with 1 corner to go. The Alpine dives out of the way.
4-1 up in the teammate head-to-head battle, using all of the curb. We're on the 19th and final corner. Behrman misses out. Personal best time if you add up all 3 sectors, but he misses out by less than 1/10 of a second. Carlos Sainz is improving in the middle part of the lap. He's currently facing a very long afternoon tomorrow in 19th. Oh, that's mega! That's unbelievable from Carlos Sainz. He does find the improvement at the last. No one was able to escape, and he knocks out both Hasses. Perez, Behrman, Bottas, Alonso and Stroll, and Sainz, even though he was in the middle of the pack, fires up the tyres and fires himself through into the next part of qualifying. He found a way to do what the others could not. Behrman, great effort, but it wasn't enough. Knocked out by just over a tenth. Let's see how hard he was pushing. Wow, that is close. Behrman left nothing out there, but the tyre's clearly not in the window.
We're calling that oversteer 3 out of 5, swimming pool exit.
I'm calling that new underpants, please. It's one of the fastest, scary parts of the racetrack. But yeah, look, just to echo your words there, Carlos Sainz using his experience, knowledge of that, improving Williams. And that was definitely the save of that session.
Takes a bit of experience as well, I think, to not get flustered. And that's why Checo couldn't fire it up early on. So maybe struggling for that tyre temp is exactly what I was talking about, getting the brakes right for the first corner. That's going to be a test of where the tyres are. The rears will be fine. The fronts take a little bit more warming up, and Checo overcooking it there. But yeah, Carlos in the pack, not getting flustered. Probably had less than 10 seconds to go before he timed out for that lap, but would have been in communication with his engineer, knew where he was, and delivered.
10.3, that's P18. I'm lucky with that yellow.
Man, so lucky.
Yeah, sorry, Ollie.
Oh, guys, I gave it everything on that lap. I'm sorry. We needed more, man.
Well, you can't doubt that. He was giving it everything through to back, and the high-speed switch of direction through the swimming pool. Here's Ocon.
P17, Sainz flipped us.
Are you serious?
Yep.
I'd say really tough Sunday afternoon coming the way of the Haas drivers with a car that was capable of around the top 10. It's qualifying day for the Monaco Grand Prix, and on the radio, Carlos Sainz has just said he doesn't know how he has made it through, but he has made it through for the 16 drivers still contesting the major places. And those knocked out: Ocon, Perez, Behrman, Bottas, Alonso and Stroll. And Alonso's record of continuing to out-qualify Lance Stroll moves on now. Over 40 races, he's been the lead Aston Martin on the grid.
Feels like a good time for my Carlos Sainz stat, guys.
Yeah, go on. I'm really looking forward to it.
He's finished in the points every time he's turned up to Monaco.
It's absolutely true.
That's a nice one.
Started in 2015. That's a lot of Monaco Grand Prix to finish in the points, with Toro Rosso, with Williams, of course with Ferrari. Do you want me to list the rest of the teams? With Renault, with McLaren, all of them.
Anyone got that consistency around here, other than Graham Hill?
Yeah, Graham Hill, the second most wins of any driver around here. Only Hamilton has done that in the same time frame.
Do you want tier 2 of the stat?
Yeah, go on.
The last time he out-qualified a teammate here was 2019.
Yeah. Strange.
Because a lot of the time his teammate's been that guy, who is rapid around here.
So that is a way too conservative. Apex at the final part of the swim pool into the chicane there, so that wouldn't have been a hot lap from Leclerc. We've got so familiar with them just rubbing up against the Armco to get the sweetest change of direction and the ride of the curb before running down to Rascasse. Which one are you on, Julian?
He wishes. He's on the train on the way back to the hotel.
The trawler somewhere just behind it, DC.
Let's get some analysis with Alex Brundle now.
I'm trying to think of a segue from all those stats to George Russell. Closely behind him in the Williams, both of those drivers. George Russell finishes the session a second behind, guys. Charles Leclerc gets through, of course, in 8th position. Chose not to run again at the end. 0.3 of that second are in Sector 1. Let's have a look at it then. As he makes his way up through Massenet, looking relatively neat and tidy at the moment. Bit of work going on the steering wheel. Looking slightly conservative all weekend in comparison to his teammate, Kimi Antonelli, who's been in Terminator mode. Across the line for Sector 2, and this is where 0.6 actually are for George Russell in comparison to Leclerc. Watch the front of that Mercedes slide there horribly through the hairpin. It's like it's just not engaging with the racetrack for George Russell. A turn in, turn out, and in again on his way through Portier as well somewhat characterises that balance. He's just not quite got the front connected to the road. It's a brake bias change you just saw on the steering wheel. Clatters the curb, as they all are, through the Nouvelle chicane. again, looks neat and tidy, but just not very plugged in. He's much better in this final sector of the lap, which starts just after to back. Makes his way through there, nicely connecting the apexes of the swimming pool chicanes. If anything, understandably in Q1 for Russell. Looking slightly conservative, a bit of a banker maybe for him, but definitely the Mercedes, not with that lightning pace we've seen in the hands of Antonelli at certain points, and indeed throughout the free practice sessions. Guys, let's see what he can do in FP2 before the battle for pole, which I'm sure he'll be in.
Thank you, Alex. We are 45 seconds away from a green light at the end of the pit lane.
They still have the fastest lap of the weekend, or Mercedes do, Antonelli does. 12.7 he managed earlier on in practice. Leclerc just topped that on a nudge under a 13.3. So half a second he's gone quicker than Leclerc. So I wonder if the track's going to rubber in and it's going to bring different cars into play here.
Yeah, I think there's that for sure is definitely going to happen, but there's also the amount of laps they accumulate in that free practice 3 before they go for the sort of final sighter before coming to quali. It just gives them that confidence. As they're taking the steps through, we're not going to call them baby steps because there is not such a thing around Monaco. They're still waiting to unleash the big risk. And, well, this is now where it starts getting a little bit more uncomfortable. We should expect the big names to make it through, but one mistake and we could see someone else scrape on through and make their name.
Green light at the end of the pit lane. Second part of qualifying is underway. And an unsafe release for Carlos Sainz has been noted.
Yeah, mate. Williams mechanic, what an idiot.
That's pretty polite, wasn't it, in the end?
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's why they have someone stand out the front of the garage. Mr. Lollipop Man, basically giving it, do not leave until I give you the go. And he's obviously been, well, they're all under pressure. And he's obviously been distracted.
They're quite close in the garages there. So Red Bull a third, Williams a fifth. And I wonder if they were almost released simultaneously and Verstappen just charged out of the garage. And just as Sainz was being beckoned, suddenly the mechanic looked and thought, oh, it's a bit late now. Sometimes when you have adjacent garages or close proximity, that sort of thing happens. They will get over it. Into Q2 we go.
The top two drivers in the World Championship are heading into the fast lane of the pit lane. Kimi Antonelli, 4 Grand Prix victories in a row. The last Grand Prix, the first time he's won from anything other than pole position. Lots of drivers on the radio asking about instructions or hints, tips for how to improve tyre temperature. What can you do from behind the wheel?
Well, a number of things. There's nothing like driving at speed, of course, for bringing temperature up. Braking is going to radiate the heat from the brakes into the wheel, into the tyre. And, well, we're going to get rear tyre temperature, acceleration, and they've got endless amounts of torque. And I would say it's more challenging to get heat in the front tyre than it is the rear.
Definitely, that's the challenge around here. The rear, you've got lots of little traction points where you can put your right foot down and get those rear wheels spinning onto the point that they're almost spinning and working to the limit of grip. The fronts, if you're on a passive outlap, particularly if you're having to let cars go through as well and watch your mirrors, you lose speed, you go offline. It is difficult to get them fired up again.
Yeah, going offline is the thing that basically in my generation of racing, the line was the holy grail. You didn't want to go off that line at any cost because you just pick up little bits of dust and debris and things like that. But this more recent generation of Formula One, they have to do it and they seem comfortable doing it.
It's part and parcel, isn't it? In my generation, the Pirelli rubber used to fall off the tyres. The marbles would be pretty insane as well about 10 years ago. But now the rubber holds itself much better on the tyre, certainly in qualifying as well. So you don't pick up extra little bits of marbles at this stage. And it's just part and parcel. You have to do it, but you don't want to have to do it. Of course, you've got to get out of the way, but if you can avoid it by keeping your pace up, that's the best way.
Build lap for Max Verstappen. We were watching him pushing on, but he's just finding his own space on the 2-mile racetrack. It's not a representative time at all. He's pushing on right now, as are the drivers in the field. This was the corner where George Russell had the problem in Q1. A bit of a moment he had to collect, losing time into the Mirabeau corner. This is the hairpin. Once the station hairpin, now named for the hotel that is there, and then you go under the underpass, Portier corner through the tunnel, and then get to the part of the circuit where we've seen Russell is a lot happier than the opening sector of the racetrack.
What a lot of them are doing is sort of like a really fast build lap. So it's almost push pace, but it's just not sliding it, not overheating that rear axle, but attacking the entries and making sure you put energy through the front tyres without sliding the rears, which you want to have still in good nick. Verstappen is pushing here.
Yeah, got some clear track ahead. Russell very clear and fair, letting him through. Colapinto is the next car up, but he's up at Rascasse, so this is allowing him a nice little bunny hop over the curbs at the end of the swimming pool. Does he keep it neat through Rascasse? Yep, no sort of squirming of the rear axle.
That Red Bull's had great traction so far this weekend, on the limit of understeer in plenty of occasions, but that's a decent lap time there for Max.
He goes over the line with a 13.2. That is very helpful for Max Verstappen, a winner around here on a couple of occasions, and he finds himself up against the Ferraris and the Mercedes. It's Verstappen, then Sainz, then Lawson, then Colapinto. The times listed, we've seen representative times from Verstappen, Sainz and Lawson. Albon has gone a second back. Lindblad goes ahead of Albon. Hamilton going very quickly through the middle sector of the racetrack. Charles Leclerc is going to take it across the line, and does he set the fastest time? He does, by 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, you can see visibly sliding the rear more through the final corner, using everything from that rear axle grip.
3 thousandths between Charles Leclerc and Kimi Antonelli in the first sector. So Antonelli starting to show a little bit more pace on this lap in the Mercedes as well.
Good effort for Oscar Piastri, goes into second, splits the Ferraris. Hadjar goes ahead of Max Verstappen. 3-2, the head-to-head between Max Verstappen and Isaac Hadjar. And Lando Norris is now the fastest out there, as McLaren find form at a pretty opportune moment, having really been chasing it in terms of performance yesterday.
Yeah, but we've been not really talking about them a lot, but it can be the case that as the track's evolving, the car's coming to the driver. You gain the confidence, you're feeling the grip.
Antonelli getting to the point where he was earlier on, a 1:12.7. With 9 minutes to go, he is fastest.
Big final sector from Antonelli. Was close to the Ferraris. I said 3 thousandths between himself and Leclerc in the first sector. Lando Norris is the fastest man in the middle, but Antonelli's blitzed the field with that final sector and made the difference. George Russell's in big trouble here. He's not looked comfortable all weekend. Antonelli's firing up. Russell's come through as nearly a second down. I'm sure there's more in there for George, but it's the sort of one when you look at the pace of everyone else, there could be cars between them, and it's not going to be possible to make that up tomorrow.
Yeah, well, Verstappen on a lap, mighty in the first sector, looked like he was labouring over the front axle at the hairpin, and just wider. You can see too much of the side of the car for too long. So let's see if that's affected him in this middle sector.
Two-time winner of the Grand Prix in 2021 and 2023. And in 2023, he was utterly sensational in this sector of the racetrack to beat Fernando Alonso to what would have been a sensational pole position for him. He was bouncing off the walls to do it. Fastest in Sector 1, a personal best in Sector 2. We have 7 minutes and 53 seconds to go as Verstappen goes over the line, and he's 0.06 of a second away with the fastest third sector as well as they begin to push to the limits. Lawson currently in the drop zone. The New Zealander is the driver that we're on board with going through the final corners. Scored points here last year, and he goes up to 9th, which is what he requires at this stage. This was the first circuit last year where he found himself in Q3. Lindblad, his rookie teammate, 18 years of age, is next to go over the line. How does he stack up? He remains in the drop zone for the moment. Hulkenberg in the dreaded 11th place. Then Albon, Gasly, Lindblad in 14th, and Colapinto. Bortoletto not knocked out earlier on, but obviously with the damage to the car, taking no part in the session. So who is going to find themselves in the bottom 5 now?
Yeah, Lindblad wasn't turning at Rascasse corner. I think he was in way too hot, and that's where his lap time went in the final sector. Lando Norris through. George Russell, you can see, starting another lap, and will need to find a considerable amount more. His first sector still a couple of tenths down, though.
So George Russell finding personal best Sector 1, personal best Sector 2, 0.3 of a second away. We go curb cam for the exit of the swimming pool section.
Yeah, he had oversteer with that first entry phase of the swimming pool. So this is not a comfortable lap, but should be quicker.
Driver who's never started or finished in the top 4 around this circuit. He is P8 at the moment around the streets of Monaco.
Struggle town. Antonelli's through, improves his own pace down to a 12.7. That's 6/10 once again between them. You won't get confidence driving through the swimming pool section with opposite lock. I mean, you got to do something different for the confidence to come.
I'm uncomfortable just watching it. So in the cockpit at that speed, it's one of the mighty sections of this racetrack. To back, the entry and exit of the swimming pool, it's the fastest section. And, well, it's kind of blink and you miss it as a driver. You've got to be able to commit with confidence.
Over the line for Charles Leclerc, and he misses out by 7/100ths of a second. Antonelli and Leclerc look like they're going to put on a show later on. They are pushing each other further and further. Leclerc earlier on, look at his brother Arthur saying that he was bemoaning his brakes. This is George Russell heading into the left-hander at back.
That bit's okay, it's this bit. That's a feather out, so it's not flat out, that. Less downforce out, that's the shot, wow.
My goodness, well, that's the photographer's shot of the weekend, isn't it? A car in a drift at that speed. Yeah, he's having to work hard.
Less downforce this year, shorter wheelbase. So the shorter wheelbase makes the cars a little pointier. They have a sharper front end, they're a little bit more alive. The less downforce means you're hanging on to it, particularly at high speed. The culmination is that for George Russell.
No personal bests for Hamilton, but he's only 0.2 of a second away. The third sector has been troublesome for him across the course of the weekend, and he doesn't bother to complete it. He pulls into the pits. In the drop zone at the moment, Sainz, Albon, Gasly, Lindblad and Colapinto. Borgletto already out. Hulkenberg and Lawson trying to be the two that get through, along with our big hitters from Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull and McLaren.
Front wing adjustment. And we saw him pointing down at it, actually, as if he was saying, guys, I know you've given me tyres, but I didn't see someone on the front flap.
Did that yesterday in practice as well. Came in unannounced and then sort of pointed to the setup change he wanted, rather than announce it on the radio.
It's a sort of engineering like a conductor in an orchestra. Always found that very impressive, how that little thing they wave around manages to bring all the musicians together.
Trying to keep it in time, and Piastri has a personal best as he tries to close up this battle at the front. Antonelli, Leclerc, Verstappen and Norris on outlaps. Piastri's pushing on. Driver who's been on the podium a couple of times in Formula One here. This is his 4th season in Formula One, and he's 0.3 of a second away. No improvement, sector 1 or 3. Colapinto is being compared to Hulkenberg. Colapinto trying to be the lead Alpine on the grid for the 3rd time this season.
And that's the thing, actually, you know, as all these teams try and build their way towards their future. Meanwhile, the inter-team battle, you know, we've seen Gasly, he's got the experience, the confidence, he's been the sort of lead guy there, and we've been asking, well, it's Colapinto, is he coming? And then he has been there and been very impressive. So you'd think Gasly coming into this is very much about reasserting himself. This is a track where we talk about the driver being able to use his experience, and wow, right up against the barrier on the exit of to back corner, so leaving no margin.
Gasly rapid, and he's got a better lap time at the moment compared to Colapinto. Argentinian driver through the final corner of the racetrack, and it will be an improvement. Will it get him into the top 10? The answer is no. P12 for him. Could be a different story for Pierre Gasly, who moves up to 9th position and breaks in to the top 10 with that effort. Gasly and Lawson at the moment, the two drivers making their way through with the big 4 teams.
So they're all going to have one more shot. There's enough time for those two Alpines to do a slow lap, get the tyres back into the right window and go again if they've got the fuel to do that, which you'd expect them to do. You want to be on track right at the end, especially if you need everything to be in Q3. Lawson's done a great job to be sitting in 10th at the moment. He's improving on it now. Hulkenberg's the driver in the drop zone currently that I would expect to have something more in his final effort.
Interesting, Lawson using more of the entry angle to the end or the tighter part of the chicane there. We see Ferrari, we see Hamilton. They don't actually use as much of the road on the left-hand side.
Lawson was 9th on the grid here last year. He's 9th in the order with 90 seconds of Q2 to go. Improvement all 3 sectors is all you can ask for at this stage of the weekend for the Racing Bulls driver.
Yeah, and Audi, well, the confidence of or the belief that they had the car to make it through. Right now, all rests on Hulkenberg, and he's not on a lap.
Well, he's left a lot in that first sector in comparison to what Lawson was able to do. 3/10 back in the first sector compared to what Lawson was just able to do.
Well, I thought something had happened with the car there, but in actual fact, I think the cameraman just probably was so impressed with the speed, he let go of his camera for a moment.
We all dove for cover, didn't we?
Antonelli is setting a scorching pace on the left-hand side of your screen. George Russell chasing it. He's had some majestic laps in Formula One, but Monaco has never really been his circuit. He remains in 8th for the time being. Piastri can't improve his time. Kimi Antonelli in a few moments will cut the beam, and he doesn't improve, but again, that's 3 very similar laps. Max Verstappen steps forward with a 1:12.4. That is a superb time. Best of the weekend so far.
Yeah, just getting his eye in for the final part. Both Williamses are improving, and they're nip and tuck.
So it's Lawson and Gasly at the moment getting through. Can that change? Sainz just misses out. Alex Albon's been asking questions about tyre temperature. Has he got the answers? He's ahead of his teammate, but he's not in to Q3. Disappointment for Albon, but he will be the lead Williams on the grid. Hadjar up to 3rd. In the wall yesterday, in the top 3, along with his teammate. And now, as we get to this stage of the weekend, Red Bull seem to have come alive. It is wide open with the top 4 teams. Lindblad still pushing on, had a personal best sector 1, no improvement middle part of the lap. Can he find something? The driver in 15th at the moment, aiming for 10th place, comes over the line. He's 0.6 of a second away. Lawson and Gasly are the drivers that have done the job. Albon missing out by 0.02 of a second. He'll be disappointed that the margin was so tight, but he's the lead Williams. He is ahead of Carlos Sainz, who was happy just to be in Q2, given the hole he was in at the end of Q1. Hulkenberg and Audi will be scratching their heads over that one. Their practice pace faded in qualifying, and then it is Colapinto and Lindblad who complete our order. Bortoleto had already crashed in Q1. Out front, Verstappen ahead of Antonelli and Isaac Hadjar. Alex Albon was fighting it through to back, taking a lot of curb through the swimming pool section on the way in, brushing the barrier. That was maximum attack.
Yeah, a little bit too heavy a knock of the barrier. I think there's a little bit too much out of it. Just forced him off line through the apex. He did well to hang on to the lap, but you can see the jolt there on the front axle. So there's a little bit in there, and there was only a little bit needed for Albon to make it into Q3, but a decent shot at points starting 11th tomorrow anyway. Well, I'm excited for this. Red Bull, where's that come from for Verstappen?
Yeah, it's game on, isn't it? It is going to be, based on what we've just seen, an epic shootout for pole. This is going to take perfection. It's going to take commitments. It's going to take a little bit of the racing gods being on your side.
Where do you see it going, DC?
DC peers to the timing screen.
It would be incredible. Looking at where Hadjar is, and no disrespect, because he's come off, let's say, a bit of a tricky weekend. Looking how close he is to Verstappen, I've got to feel there's more there from that Red Bull. Antonelli feels like the safe bet, doesn't it?
I'm taking the safe bet.
Sorry.
Okay. Nice. Still not about Quali.
There's still a chance to fight for points for Carlos Sainz in 12th. We're about to deal in the spectacular, in the Principality of Monaco. The Mediterranean Sea is glistening, and soon Formula One cars will be on the circuit for what suddenly appears to be a wide open qualifying session. All the smart money was on Ferrari coming into the weekend because that car, no matter the regulation set, is good. when it comes to mechanical grip. Then, after FP3, the final practice session, it looked like Kimi Antonelli had the ability to brake in the second sector that no one could replicate. And just now, Max Verstappen has posted the fastest time of the weekend.
Penny for this man's thoughts. Struggling 8th solidly through that, which puts him at the back of the front runners effectively.
Yeah, and that's just another visible example of just not having the confidence to fight the car in there. Now, I think it's all part of when you're just not building the laps. If he really believed in the car at that moment, he probably would have fought to try and get through the chicane, but he's kind of gone white flag.
It didn't look like he was absolutely on the limit of decelerating into it either, did he?
Which is why I'm saying, you know, sometimes you can see when a driver just won't give up. You know, he'll hustle it, and it's like he's on the back foot right now and not in a comfortable place.
Well, we are building up to Q3, but there is a 0.2 of a second gap between Antonelli and Max Verstappen. Alex Prundle has the analysis of where that gap has appeared.
Where did Max Verstappen come from? 0.2 of the good with a lap towards the end of the session over Kimi Antonelli. He's on the left of your screen. Antonelli on the right of your screen. Let's go for it then. Verstappen has his tyre in a bit of a better position as he heads through the first corner at Saint-Devote, putting himself a 10th up the road and takes another 10th with this glorious one turn of the steering wheel run through Massenet. That worth almost 0.2 of a second over Antonelli, but he's going to come back at him through the second sector again. Verstappen using all of the road beautifully, but actually has a little bit of a moment there down at the hairpin. Weirdly, doesn't appear to cost him too much time. Exactly honours even on the exit of Portier, but now we're going to see where Kimi Antonelli is mega. Watch this braking point and the way he commits to the Nouvelle chicane, right in over the first apex, bashes the curb. Verstappen cannot take through the mid-corner, but he can take a little bit more speed through the mid-corner of Tabac and is so aggressive through the swimming pool. A bit too much curb for Antonelli, delays him to throttle through the exit of the swimming pool, but he's slightly better on traction through the mid-corner of Rascasse and then out to the line. It was a thrilling battle between the two of them, guys, and I'm not sure that this was the expected order at the end of Q2. I wonder if Ferrari will have anything to say about that in the final session of qualifying, one of the most thrilling sessions of Formula One for the full season.
Thank you, Alex. Fascinating, the differences of where the cars are competitive. Best lap of the weekend for Max Verstappen. Let's get an update now from our strategist and check in with Ruth Buscott.
The most important 12 minutes of entire qualifying season is about to come up, and there are 3 teams that are in it and ready to go for that ultimate pole position. We have Max Verstappen fastest through turn 4, through turn 8, nailing the hairpin. We have the Ferrari that is still the fastest over the chicanes. Look at turn 16. And then we have Antonelli, who is smashing that turn 10, faster, later in braking than anyone else. Tiny margins. Who is going to come out on top? The only way to find out is to watch it.
Here we go for what is always a special session, but it is multi-driver, multi-team possibilities here. And given the way it's changed, it could easily change again. Ferrari, McLaren, Red Bull and Mercedes in the mix. Can George Russell minimize the damage? Doesn't have the confidence, but can he find what he's done in the past in his qualifying career, his best lap at the end of Q3? Because his championship right now needs that type of lap.
Yeah, he needs it. It feels like there are 2 major plots here. One, who's going to be on pole for the Monaco Grand Prix? Could be anyone. Number 2, how close can Russell get to Antonelli? Because right now, George is the one driver of the big 4 teams that just looks like he's not in contention to fight for pole. He'll have been studying the data, he'll have been working with his engineer Marcus Dudley, looking at, I'm sure, tyre prep is a big thing. When you're not feeling the grip, you're thinking your tyre's not fired up, and he's a guy that does know how to execute pole positions, but right now, he's looking a shadow of his former self this weekend.
Yeah, once your confidence is knocked and once you're into these sessions, the only thing George can hope for is a magic set of tyres. There are marginal differences in these handmade tyres. You know, We talk about cars being identical. Well, they're identical within the engineering tolerances, which are the best in the world. But sometimes you just get a little better feel. So if he gets a little better feeling from a set of tyres, that might bring him closer. But it's a little bit like he's on the ropes right now. So Antonelli bustling with confidence, Verstappen with all that experience, Leclerc with the home support blowing him around the racetrack to try and give him the tailwind. And then Hamilton, we know that this is a track that experience can pay. And remember Schumacher getting that one pole with Mercedes here. So, yeah, this is going to be an amazing 11 minutes.
We are really looking forward to it. Charles Leclerc has been on the radio to his team bemoaning where they ran in the last part of qualifying. So he believes there's more pace in that Ferrari, but he was not happy with how they prepared these Pirelli tyres.
He's got a lovely clear space ahead of him as we join him through Mirabeau. The next car ahead is Isaac Hadjar going through the tunnel already. So 10 cars left in this, and Leclerc can do as he wants with the space that he's got right now. Outlap and a build lap is the order of the day right now. Antonelli will surely follow suit in the Mercedes, not dial it smoking straight into the first corner, but just build the temps and build the suspension as well.
It really is. It's one of the highlights of the year, isn't it? Getting the energy, the feeling of what the driver is, you know, the mindset. You know, inside the helmet, you've got Max Verstappen with all that experience, all that knowledge, and a feeling and a sense that a front row is possible. And then, of course, with Antonelli on having the time of his short life on the back of 4 victories, driving instinctively at one with the car, not worrying and even thinking where his teammate is right now, because it looks like he's on the ropes. So it's different phases of careers, all going for the same goal.
Fully lit. Oscar Piastri through the first sector. That's 1/10 away from Max Verstappen in Q2.
We have Charles Leclerc chasing a 4th pole at home on the left-hand side of your screen. We are full frame with Oscar Piastri. It's not been the opening sector that Leclerc was looking for.
No, Piastri's had a flyer, actually. It's his best effort. He's up on Norris. He's 2/10 up on... he's a mile up on Leclerc, who's completely out of it on this lap. So he'll have to wait again. We'll see Oscar through the final sector.
Oscar Piastri isn't leaving much margin, fighting the car on the exit of the swimming pool section.
No, that's blink and you miss it. It's impressive, and then full power out of the last corner, and he's using all of the rubber as he runs for the line.
Tapping the barriers on his way to a 1 minute 12.9. Can anyone get on terms with that? Lando Norris can do a 1 minute 12.7 to Lewis Hamilton. He's won this Grand Prix 3 times. Hasn't had a Grand Prix pole since 2023.
It's good. He gave himself a lot of turning to do on the exit of the swimming pool of the Nouvelle chicane, but here he comes with a shot at provisional pole.
Sometimes this weekend the 3rd sector has been his undoing, but he knows this is a golden opportunity. Much happier with Ferrari, trying to steal his teammate's thunder this weekend. Lewis Hamilton to provisional pole.
Yeah, Kimi Antonelli had lit up the screens in the first sector, only to be beaten now by Max Verstappen. So they've definitely given themselves an opportunity at the beginning of the lap.
Let's see what we get across the line from George Russell. He moves into 3rd ahead of Oscar Piastri. Kimi Antonelli going well. Here's the championship leader to provisional pole now, and he's fighting Max Verstappen once again on board with the 4-time champion and 2-time Monaco Grand Prix winner. He was all arms and elbows coming through the Rascasse. It looks quick though. It's going to be close. How close is it? Oh, he's missed out by 1/1000th of a second.
Yeah, but crucially, he'll know there's more time to play with. That was a save of the low-speed Century coming through Rascasse. And, well, we knew we had a battle. But can you believe the time difference?
2 miles separated by a phenomenon who joined at a young age, and Antonelli, who's trying to do his best Max Verstappen impression and win every single time in Formula One as a teenager. Antonelli on provisional pole. Verstappen finds himself 1/1000th of a second off. This was Charles Leclerc's opening sector that went wrong.
Oh, he's got wide on the entry to Massenet. He's trying to then get it back for a sort of later apex. It's a bit unconventional there. I'm surprised he's found the grip to almost make it back, but then he's run out of it, and he's run out of road on the way into Casino. So Leclerc bailed out. This is Piastri lighting it up coming out of Raskas. Was there a little touch?
Certainly looks like it, because the slide then suddenly stabilised from that overhead shot, and yes, indeed, the perfect amount. Didn't even take the wrapper off that barrier.
So Leclerc will go again. He's 10th with no time on the board, but should throw his hat into the ring for this as well. 3 pole positions around here, so much confidence, but not hooking it up on the first attempt. Surely he'll have to go early now.
Yeah, he's got to. And the others have the luxury of aiming for last across the line. That is a big comeback for Russell. That is a lap that will make him go, right, I now know where I am. I just need to find a 10th in each sector, and there's going to be damage limitation.
That's still not good enough, though, is it? Bear in mind.
No, he's not in the hunt for pole, is he?
No, it's nearly half a second, and Leclerc, on any normal lap here, should jump in ahead as well. So I think it's closer for George, but he needs to find another 2 or 3 tenths to make this a credible one.
DC, are you saying he's given himself a foundation that he just didn't have in Q2?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, he was so far away before, he wasn't even mixing it with the big boys, but to be in amongst where he is right now, okay, call it half a second, I'd call it 4 tenths for give himself some confidence. You know, he's back in it, because you're always comparing to where you are with your teammate, because that's what the car is capable of. So I think that's a save, but we need to see if he can go more. This is it. They've got one more run.
He'll almost be cheering on Verstappen, Hamilton and Leclerc right now, won't he?
Yeah, that is the funny thing. And, you know, to just expand and explain on that, you know, you are part of a team, but the teammate's the enemy.
He'll come in and think, oh, fiddlesticks. Kimi's on provisional pole. I'm closer, but there's still 3 cars between us, and there might be more if Charles Leclerc can hook up a good lap. So Leclerc's gone early. The rest of the field will now come out of the pits. Presumably they're still going to stick to their guns on doing an out and a build lap. They've got time to do that. Leclerc going early means that he's in control of his own destiny in many ways. A yellow flag, a stoppage now shouldn't affect him, because he'll get a clean lap in, if he doesn't trip over everyone else who'll be coming out of the pits. And that's the distraction when you are hurtling around such a tight circuit, needing maximum concentration. Even cars that you know will get out of the way, you've got to just kind of blank them out of your mind, but it's easier said than done.
I'm more excited than Christmas night. Who's it going to be?
Rightly so, because it really is wide open, and when you've got Kimi Antonelli, the young pretender to the championship crown, up against Max Verstappen, who's got 4 of them. Verstappen's only got 1 Grand Prix podium this year. That was in the previous race. Monaco means so much to all of the drivers because of how superlative you have to be at this hour around the 1910s.
Leclerc's given it some through the first sector. He's 3 tenths away from the absolute best. But this is what I mean, a build lap that is kind of a real hustle.
And in comparison, his previous build laps have been about 5-6 seconds off the ultimate pace. This is much closer to the real thing.
Yeah, backed off now, because he knows Gasly's on the start-finish, and now he's going to launch it. He knows where the tyres are. He knows, hopefully, where he can get his braking into Saint-Devote.
Well, Charles Leclerc seems to access something truly special. At a circuit where we talk about greatness, he's been on pole position with amazing laps 3 times before. Can he make his way through the corner that caused the trouble last time?
Yeah, but he's got Antonelli ahead. He gets out of the way. Then he's got Gasly ahead.
Looked tidy through Saint-Devote. He had great traction to come up the hill, but this is what I mean. You start finding cars and you're just hoping they'll get out of the way, but you can't. It's so difficult to avoid getting distracted by them.
Okay, that was a 19 flat in the first sector. That's still away from what Verstappen did by, what, 10th and a bit?
He's hooking it up here, though. That was really, really nice through the low speed.
Has to go aggressive into the chicane. This is vital. This is where Antonelli has been superb so far. Charles Leclerc leaving margin. We'll get the comparison in a few moments' time. Does the home favourite have another moment of magic? The answer is yes. All in Monaco, chasing the pole position that means more of any Formula One season. Charles Leclerc will not accept being P10. He's given it everything. He goes to the line. Spectacular to watch. And it is provisional pole position to the roar of the Principality.
Yeah, everybody stand and show your appreciation for an absolutely beautiful lap, and that now becomes the benchmark. It's only marginally quicker than what Antonelli and Verstappen have achieved, and expect them to have a chance to go faster.
Well, that was all or nothing. Second place last year in qualifying, and it was like he was 10th. He didn't care to be second or anywhere else. That was pole or nothing for Leclerc. What a arms and elbows lap, full of confidence, but plenty of grip in there as well. Provisional pole, what can anyone do now? The track's getting better and better, remember.
He'll be thinking, if only I knew these streets a little bit better. Oh, yeah, I grew up here.
I used to catch the school bus around this circuit, and he has found something remarkable. Everyone watching now of a certain age that's from the Principality dreams of being Charles Leclerc, but there are more drivers in contention. It's 200ths of a second for Antonelli, it's 200ths of a second for Max Verstappen, and Max Verstappen's first sector is astonishing.
Yeah, we've got a good first sector, not as good as Verstappen, but Norris is on a lap. Hamilton looks like he's just lost a bit in that first sector.
Norris is done through the Nouvelle chicane, I think. Piastri's not going quicker. It's all on Verstappen right now, coming through the tunnel.
Verstappen will have to go aggressive into the Nouvelle chicane. Into the sunlight we go. Left-hand side of your picture. How does it go with Verstappen? Watch the left-hand side of your screen. Immaculate so far. Piastri goes to 5th. He goes across the line ahead of his teammate, and now we go on board with the 4-time champion, who's 600ths of a second up. But remember, the final sector was where the car got loose before. What's the grip like for Verstappen?
Yep, this is tidier. This is tidier. One final corner to go.
He's fighting it. The grip of the Pirellis is falling away. Hamilton's still in the mix for Grand Prix pole as well. Verstappen does it by 0.2 of a second. But can Hamilton take it at the last? Chasing his first Grand Prix pole since 2023. He's ahead of his teammate and he's on the front row. What about Russell next?
And Antonelli, let's not forget about him. Hadjar jumps to 5th. Russell through the final corner. Antonelli's on a very tidy lap.
Russell is down to 8th at the moment, needs an improvement. He gets one, but only to 6th. Antonelli is still in the fight for pole. It's a personal best through the first sector for Charles Leclerc as well.
Leclerc had time for another flyer, so like McLaren last year, he goes again.
Here comes the championship leader across the line. Antonelli takes it at the last. Absolutely unbelievable. The two Titans on the front row are separated by 0.04 of a second. And if you want to see confidence behind the wheel, Kimi Antonelli will show you. He will lead the line for the Monaco Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc was chasing it and he's tapped the barriers looking for a return to the front. He will start his home race in 4th with a little bit of heartbreak. This is the moment that he went out of the fight.
Yeah, he's turned into the back. Full commitment, lost the rear end, straight into the barrier, and well, punctured the tyre, and will have done some gearbox damage. We'll find out in time.
You know what? That was going to be some lap for Leclerc, because he came through the middle sector split 0.3 down, but he's already whacked the barrier by then on the exit of Tabac. So, well, I mean, we said the first one was all or nothing, but he went again for a deeper push.
Yes, Kimi. Nice work, pal. Good man. Well done.
Woo! Woo! What happened by the lap? Woo!
My man, 43 milliseconds.
What a session. What a session, and what a lap from Antonelli. What a lap from Verstappen. And of course, Hamilton will be somewhat disappointed to have not made the front row, but he definitely showed he's still got the speed around the streets.
We're witnessing an astonishing talent here in Kimi Antonelli. The lap at the end in Monaco to hook it all up. He's drilled George Russell all day. Russell's not a slouch. Mercedes haven't been good here for years. And Antonelli's just put it on pole. His teammate is 6th with 0.4 between them. What a performance.
Kimi Antonelli finds himself with another career pole position. He's first at Monaco. He was the last classified finisher a year ago. He will start first, and you could hear what it meant to him. Only 2 Italians have ever won this famous race, Patrese and Trulli. Could Antonelli add his name? That was a superb moment to take it back. What a battle between the big hitters in Formula One. Leclerc found the wall, Hamilton in third, Verstappen 400th back. Kimi Antonelli on pole for the Monaco Grand Prix. Well, Kimi Antonelli's getting used to this feeling. His 4th career pole. He's won 4 Grand Prix in a row. He's shredded the script to 2026. He's put George Russell in the shade in qualifying, and he is looking to build on a 43-point championship lead. This talent that was talked about as the next Verstappen will join Verstappen on the front row. Hamilton ahead of Leclerc, and Leclerc showing us all how much they were pushing with that moment into the barriers at back that left him 3/10 adrift and in 4th place, but chasing everything to try and get that pole position. That was driving on the edge between some of the greats.
It's just unbelievable. He can do no wrong at the moment. The commitment, all weekend in Canada he was hustling away like he couldn't crash, and this weekend just throwing it into some of these corners. The car just grips up for him, and then it gives him more confidence to keep attacking and to dig out that lap. Father and son, they know what that means.
You dream of the Monaco Grand Prix when his father placed him in the go-kart at such a young age. What a thing to watch. The family have been with him across this season, and what a day to be the 4-time champ and the 7-time champ to pole position in the Grand Prix where it means the most. "19-year-old Kimi Antonelli is our championship leader, and he has taken a 4th career pole position. He started his Grand Prix pole account in China. He was knocked off the top spot in qualifying when it came to Canada, but Antonelli, first in the points, first on the grid. His nearest competitor, George Russell, in P6. Verstappen 8 meters back. Hamilton ahead of Leclerc. Leclerc going again for that 2nd push lap at the end. There's Hadjar, Russell, Piastri, Norris, Gasly, and Lawson completing our top 10. And the crowd catching their breath. Antonelli thanking the team on his in-lap. And you've got to be in the top 3 in the dry to win this race. Let's hear from that top 3 now, speaking to Jenson Button.
Kimi, the most important qualifying session of the season, and for someone that's only in their 2nd year in Formula One, it must be a pretty special one.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those laps that, we call the magic lap. You know, I was able to put all together, and it was such a close qualifying with Max. I think, the first run of Q3, there was just 1 millisecond between us, but I knew the last lap was good, and I was just hoping that it would have been enough. But it was very close, and I'm very happy with that. Massive thanks to the team, because yesterday we struggled a little bit, and today we were able to improve massively.
Was it one of those special moments, like the late, great Ayrton Senna used to say, the out-of-body experience of qualifying in Monaco?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of the most intense, if not the most intense qualifying of the year. And it takes a massive effort, also practices, because you just keep trying to get close to the limit. And, when it's about finding the last 2/10, it's not easy, because, the wall starts to come closer, and it's not easy to gain the confidence. But I have to be honest, I felt great this morning, and I'm happy that we could finish the job today.
Do you think your age is a positive in terms of not feeling pressure, just living in the moment and maximizing everything?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, I'm just enjoying the driving, enjoying the car, enjoying the weekend, you know, that was a big step compared to last year. And yeah, it's just, you know, it's really nice to be able to enjoy the sessions. And yeah, looking forward to tomorrow.
Great, congratulations.
Thank you, everyone.
Max, so close. We're so close. It's the thing around Monaco, right? It's about the marginal gains. But you must be happy to be at least fighting at the front again.
I mean, if you would have told me yesterday to be on the front row, I would have definitely taken it. And also this morning, I think we had quite some difficulties with the cars. So yeah, heading into qualifying and being up there, I think was yeah, extremely positive. So overall, of course, very happy, you know, with how qualifying went, how all the laps went, even though you have to deal with all the traffic and of course the walls. But yeah, I'm happy. You know, I'm happy to be on the front row. And then tomorrow, let's see in the start. You know, these cars are quite complicated to start. So I have 2 cars behind me that start quite well. But we'll see. This was a good day, and definitely enjoyed it in qualifying.
Yeah, the adrenaline must be super high. How is it fit, you know, with these cars around the track? Obviously, change of regulations. Do you still get that buzz? I mean, the cars look like they're on edge the whole time.
Yeah, they are more on edge as, let's say, the last few years, and then also with the power that kicks in. Same like drivability, shifts is all a bit different. But yeah, once you get on top of it and you can get a clean lap out of it, and especially in qualifying, like flat out on the limit, it's very rewarding when it goes well.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, Lewis, it's been a real pleasure watching you this weekend. It's great to see you pushing the car to the limit. Feels like you're properly on it with the car around here.
Yeah, it's been well. Congrats to Kimi. Mega job. Having your first pole here is so special. And obviously we got such a great crowd here, so it's a beautiful day. Tough for us. I think we were looking so strong in practice. We barely changed anything, but the car was drastically different once we got to qualifying for some reason. So we have to take a deep dive into that. But I gave it absolutely everything. I was as close to the barriers as I could be, and you know what a privilege it is to be here, to be one of the 22 drivers in Formula One, getting to do this still. And yeah, I love every second of it.
Well, yeah, you've been doing it for a few years now.
Yeah.
And still, you
still
just...
no grey hairs though, so I'm good.
Exactly. But it's just amazing to see, you know, pushing the limits of the car. Do you think this year is extremely tight in terms of the performance of everyone out on track? I've never seen a qualifying session like that in Formula One.
I think it is definitely very quick, close between us all. You saw, I mean, geez, I thought he almost maybe nearly had it. I don't know. And then Max put in a good time, and then Kimi, and I think it's great to see how close all the cars are. I think we lost something going into today, and that's what we need to try to figure out. But a big thank you to the guys back at the factory and the guys here. You know, we haven't added performance this weekend, but we're obviously there in the fight. But I'm really keen and looking forward to seeing what developments we bring in future.
Well, we'll all be looking at turn 1 tomorrow when the lights go out, so good luck.
Thank you. Cheers, mate.
Jenson Button asking the questions to Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, and our pole sitter, Kimi Antonelli, who in the end has taken pole position with a 1:12.051, 400ths of a second quicker than Max Verstappen's effort. And that is how much Monaco means. Punching the air with delight in the cockpit, in the garage, and a 4th career pole. Delight for Mercedes.
That is banging.
Kimi, grande.
Thanks, Toto. Thank you so much.
And he knows what it means around these 2 miles. Got to go all the way back to the 80s for the last time this Grand Prix was won outside of the top 3 positions on the grid. In the dry, had some shenanigans in 1996 when only 3 cars finished, but that was wet. Olivier Panis won from miles back. But in the dry, you got to place it in the top 3. Antonelli, Verstappen and Hamilton have done that. An incredible performance from the 19-year-old who is smiling with two of the champions he's trying to join. Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, Kimi Antonelli. Different generations of Formula One in one photo. Hamilton delighted to still be in the mix, saying what a privilege it was to attack the circuit. He continues to do so with a Formula One career that began in 2007. Kimi Antonelli only joined the field last year. He looks like he's been here for far longer than that. He now has 4 Grand Prix pole position awards after taking his first pole in the Principality. His 30th start in Formula One will be pole position in Monaco. He's reveling in it. It's a special place for the race, and qualifying is so important. Kimi Antonelli has taken pole position. Max Verstappen chased him all the way, 1/1000th of a second when it came to the first runs. In the second runs, it went all the way up to 43/1000th of a second. Lewis Hamilton in third. Strong performance from him. Charles Leclerc hit the wall chasing pole position and finished in 4th. And it was Hadjar 5th for the second year in a row on the grid. Then it was Russell, Piastri, Norris, Gasly and Lawson completing the top 10. Next, Alexander Albon in 11th, ahead of teammate Carlos Sainz. Then it was Hülkenberg, Colapinto and Lindblad, Bortoleto, Ocon and Perez are next. Oliver Behrman unlucky with the timing of the red flag. Valtteri Bottas in 20th, and the grid completed by the Aston Martins, with Fernando Alonso ahead of Lance Stroll. Well, when you have momentum, when you have speed, and you have that Mercedes, it all seems to be working brilliantly for the only teenager to ever lead the Formula One World Championship. He is accessing the performance time and time again and set the task of beating Hamilton and Verstappen. He rose to the occasion in the qualifying hour that means so much to so many. There's only 22 that get to take the start lights tomorrow, but it is always a magnificent occasion when we go racing in Monaco. George Russell will look to improve from 6th on the grid, but what a start it is going to be with Antonelli on pole. Goodbye.